I'm doing it. I'm finally doing it. It's Wildrift Doctor. Amadeus, whatever he wants me to call him. I'm never going to get his name right. Has been bugging me to do this for months. And to be completely frank with you, I just kept forgetting. And then I didn't have internet at home. And I always had a better video idea. The reason I didn't do Wildrift Doctor for ages is because I was afraid that people wouldn't click on the video. And generally days that people don't click on the video, I don't get a lot of views and it just makes me sad. But however, I've come to terms with the fact after hitting 100,000 subscribers that views aren't everything. And actually what I should really do is make content that my subscribers are going to enjoy. I got consumed by views. I wanted to get good views. My friends were getting really good views in their videos and I was struggling, and I thought if I made a video like this, people probably wouldn't click on it and I'd just feel bad about myself. However, as I've said, I've realized that's not important. What's important is being able to just create content that my subscribers can enjoy, and analyzing my subscriber gameplay is an important part. Now, this is from a guy called JC. Nailed it. He actually has a YouTube channel with 7 subscribers. I don't know if he publishes much on his channel. I haven't had a look. But if you want to go and have a look, feel free. He submitted this video in May, so it's about a month old. So we're probably a patch behind here, but realistically, he's playing Braum, so Braum hasn't changed much. It's not an issue. First of all, I don't know how the draft phase went. I'm just going to get the... I'm just going to get my pen up. Give me a second. I don't know how the draft phase went, but Braum plus Jhin is a really dodge combo. The other thing about this video is, unfortunately, it's not exactly in a super... it's not exactly in a super high resolution, so we're just going to have to deal with that. Regardless... he's talking in the video, unfortunately, so I can't put the game sounds on. But we're going to analyze, even in like 480p, whatever this is. We're going to analyze. The first mistake he made, though, is that Jhin and Braum together. Jhin and Braum together is a bad combo because Jhin has got such a slow attack speed. You can't easily proc Braum's passive. So it's just not a very strong combo in the laning phase. However, Braum is a good combo into Nidalee, so Braum can stop Nidalee's wave with his shield. That's one of the things you're going to be wanting to do in the team fights. Now, I don't know what Vi was thinking of doing a level 2 gank as a Vi, especially as she just basically walked into lane. She's also now given away completely that she was heading towards this. She's given away completely that she's not in this area of the jungle. So if the enemy jungler is smart, he might go straight over to his red, maybe try and catch Vi out because she took some damage. But nonetheless, very interesting pathing from Vi. I have no idea what she's doing. But again, we're not really here to critique the Vi. We're here mostly to look at the Braum gameplay, which obviously is... I'm not expecting much from the laning phase. Now, I'm not going to talk about the small mechanical errors. I'm sure when you review this, you'd look at this and say, K, walking into a Nami bubble, those are things that I can dodge. One of the things that... You know, the reasons Nami is not super strong is her bubble is relatively easy to dodge and usually needs some kind of setup to land it properly. Either way, laning phase, I don't imagine to have a huge amount of action unless, you know, maybe level 5, there'll be a bit of action. That was nice from JC. He jumps in front, puts the shield up. Like that is what you want to do as a Braum. If your AD carry steps up, baits in the enemy to attack you, you just jump to the AD carry and put the shield up and you win that trade pretty much 99 times out of 100. So you always want to be ready to use your second ability and your shield just to try and make sure that, you know, you're coming on top of the trade. Now, if I was him, step up, attack him, basic attack him. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. This was honestly, right there, the Varus stepped forward. You got a crap ton of basic attacks on him and you stood still. Walk up with the shield and hit him with your fists. You would have got the stun onto him. Your Jhin could have walked forward. You could have got the stun. That's something that a lot of Braum players are afraid to do and don't do often enough. If you're a Braum and you land your first ability, pop your shield up if you're getting into an engage and look to walk at the enemy. Walk at the enemy and look to basic attack them. It's something that a lot of new Braum players don't do, and it's one of the biggest reasons that Braum is strong, is that you can actually approach the enemy as a melee champion without much problem. Because you have your shield up, they're attacking your shield, they're dealing less damage to you, you can walk at them, and because they're slowed from your first ability, you can start to land some basic attacks. Your basic attacks also count towards your passive. You should be looking to do that as much as possible. So that wasn't a very good early trade in the laning phase, simply because, you know, as we said before, JC just didn't step up and start landing those basic attacks. Anyway, it's fine. We're here to critique. That's one lesson that you should take away from the laning phase with Braum, is that you should be looking to step up to the enemy wherever possible after using your first ability, and look to get those basic attacks off to land your passive. The reason that Braum is strong is his passive. That is the main reason that Braum is strong. So you've got your ultimate now with Jhin. Again, this is a really bad combo in the laning phase. You don't actually win many trades. The best combo that Jhin and Braum have got is this plus, Jin's second ability. That's the combo. Nice shield. Walk at them. Okay, fine. The wave's coming towards you. Back off. You always want to be threatening to walk. Whenever you have your shield up, unless your AD carries on like 2 HP, you always want to be walking towards the enemy to threaten something. Because even if you don't commit, it's going to force them to walk away. So whenever you're playing Braum, when that shield's up, try to walk towards the enemy a little bit, because it just threatens them to walk away. And that's what I always like to do. Whenever that shield's up, you are basically an immovable tank. It's very difficult for the enemy to deal significant damage to you. Now, I'm not really sure why we're looking for the engage here. You didn't have the shield up, and honestly, you don't win at level 5. So that to me didn't really make much sense, because even if you make that engage happen, Jin's ultimate is not good enough to 100-0 someone. And you were going in for that engage when when they were both 100% HP. With a Jhin, that's just not going to happen. If you're with a Kai'Sa or a Xayah or something like a Tristana, where the all-in is much easier to do, then I kind of get that. But you're going into a combo, a Braum and a Varus and a Nami, who are going to outburst you. And Jin's ultimate is slow and is not exactly good at bursting people up from 100-0. Jhin is much better at using his ultimate when you've already won a trade and the enemy is retreating, or you're using it to control an area of a team fight. It's just not something that you want to look to all in with like that, especially opening with Jin's ultimate. It deals more damage to them the lower HP they are. Jhin will deal more damage with just going up to them and basic attacking them. So never, ever, ever with a Jhin try to use your ultimate to engage a fight unless the jungler is there or they're already low HP. It will always result in you losing out. So that's another mistake there. Braum should never look at... And also, Braum is almost always better at re-engaging. So Braum is almost always better at using his ultimate to disengage and then allow his team to find a way into the fight. Using it as an aggressive method only works if you have an AD carry that can follow up instantaneously, like a Tristana, a Xayah, a Kai'Sa, etc. It does not work with someone like Jhin, who is much slower paced and looks to control team fights. Jin's ultimate is really only good at controlling space in team fights. Now, this you shouldn't be here. Your jungler is not with you. Your strongest player in your team is the Yasuo, who's nowhere near. Honestly, you should not be engaging this Infernal Dragon. You don't even have a man advantage. Now, this right now is a good place. That should have been used a little bit earlier, but it was a good place to look for the Braum ultimate. That was one of the best places to look for the Braum ultimate. Now, Akali kind of saved the team fight, even though it went very badly wrong for the most part. Akali did save the team fight there. It was a 2-4 overall. The enemy team massively came out on top. There we go. The item choice on Braum first is fine. Zeke's Herald is a good first item choice for Braum. Second item, you should be looking at what the enemy team comp has. They have a Kha'Zix, a Katarina, a Pantheon, a Varus, a Nami. There is a good amount of mixed damage there. However, there is healing from Nami. There's healing from Kha'Zix. Having a Bramble Vest early on is probably okay, but I would go for a Bramble Vest and then I'd probably work towards some more magic resist. Or I'd then go towards something like a Rando in Zoman to slow the attack speed down of certain carries. But for the most part, like going a Bramble Vest early versus this comp is probably okay, because you're going to have Nami healing. Varus might build some healing into his kit. I don't know what build Varus is going. It might be AP, it might be AD. That's what you'll have to look at, because Varus can go AP or AD, although I think AP is not exactly a good build for Varus. And I can tell that by the team right now, this isn't like the way that they're not really playing around objectives. So I can tell this is not exactly super high elo, or at least I don't think it's super high elo. I don't actually know what elo this level of gameplay is, but I can tell it's not super high elo because the team, Infernal Drake would be a major contest point, and there is no vision on it for his team. So Braum, he has got a ward. I would walk and put some vision just over the wall. And I know the jungler is on this side of the map, but it is good practice to go and ward the vision around the Baron. Now, look. If I were Jhin and Braum, go to Vi right now. Kha'Zix is down here. Akali has priority mid lane. Go and do the dragon. If Varus and Nami come to you, re-engage with Viol and Braum. Like they should be now going. Even if it gives it away, they should be going straight to the dragon. Like they look at them. They're so slow. And now Vi's being zoned off for the dragon. Like if Vi does this, you need to follow your jungler. You saw Kha'Zix on the bottom side of the map. Like, this was such a good point to just go straight in for the play. Now, they need to follow up on Vi. Like, yes, okay, it might not be the best play in the world that Vi's making, but they need to follow up much quicker, and that's too slow. If they were there earlier, they might have been able to capitalize with the Vi, and it would have been a much easier fight to take. They were too slow to rotate to the dragon. You need to follow your jungler in solo queue. The jungler is one of the most important roles. Even if what you think the jungler is doing is bad, you should try to support them. And in that case, what the jungler was doing was actually correct because Kha'Zix was on the bottom side of the map. So they were too slow to go to the dragon. And then they were too slow to follow up on the Vi. Like, the Vi went for the engage. She actually caught the Varus off with her ultimate. If Braum jumped in, landed his passive, that Varus was dead because you were able to chain CC together. All the Jhin needed to do was open up his ultimate here and shoot some shots, right? That was all the Jhin needed to do. Open up his ultimate in this area and shoot some shots while the Braum and the Vi followed up. So JC, what I'm noticing from JC, not decisive enough, way too slow to react to what his team is doing on the map. And yeah, the ults have all been really slow in these team fights. So from the get-go here, we can see that they are clearly very behind. The only person that seems to be carrying them right now is the Yasuo, who's kind of getting a couple of kills here and there. This is good from JC though, like realizing that taking out the Rift Herald would be important. You have your shield, so you don't have to be too worried about a Katarina. Something that not a lot of people know is when Katarina uses her ultimate, if you turn your shield towards the Katarina, you block all of the Katarina daggers that come out towards you. So Braum is actually a really good answer into Katarina because not only can you use your ultimate to stop her from using her ultimate, but you can also put your shield up to protect the projectiles that come from Katarina during her ultimate. So Braum's actually a good answer into Katarina in most circumstances. I'm actually going to put this into a slightly quicker play speed. Playback speed. Let's put it into 1.5. So I'm going to try and do Wildrift Doctor at a slightly quicker play speed for the most part because otherwise I know that some of these games go on for quite some time. So I don't want to like be looking at just the stuff that's not happening. Right now there's not much happening, and realistically what Jhin and Braum are doing right now is okay. They're just trying to push mid lane wave in as much as possible. They're respecting the Katarina, noticing that the Kha'Zix is coming. I would love at this point for Braum to be using his wards a little bit more regularly. So getting a ward here, getting a ward here, just getting some vision on the jungle entrances, especially if you're trying to push mid, is really important. So a ward in this area from the Braum would be really strong. JC would be able to get some good vision there. Luckily, Varus is kind of popping off right now. Sorry, not Varus. Yasuo is kind of popping off right now, and for the most part is doing well. Now, what we're seeing from Braum and Jhin right now is pretty good. Like, they were attempting to push the mid lane tower because obviously the rest of the enemy team turned up over here. However, the Kha'Zix covered that mid lane, and so they weren't able to do it. So I actually think, obviously, Braum and JC and Jhin were not going to be able to respond to that bot lane fight. They were never going to get there in time. So what they were doing was correct, just trying to constantly push in that mid lane tier 1. And I really like what they are doing, given that there are no major objectives for them to take right now, just threatening that mid lane tier 1 over and over again. So I really want to see Braum, jump to her. You don't need to, okay, that's fine. That was okay. The best play there was to use your second ability and jump to the Vi and land a basic attack or a first ability on him. You can always more easily, okay, he backed there. I don't know why he backed. You can see there was a huge fight going on here. He was basically full HP. There was no reason to back in that circumstance. You probably could have got a really, really successful fight off. A really good way to ensure Braum can land his first ability, especially when trying to go for a target that your ally is attacking, is to jump to them, then use your first ability, because they'll be point blank range and it's much easier to land it. So in that instance, I would have jumped to the Vi, used my first ability, and if the Varus flashed away, then I would have used my ultimate to get the chase. The problem that they had with that play is if Varus flashed away, you didn't have first ability, you couldn't jump to anyone, and you'd used your ultimate. So if Varus flashed out of your ultimate, you would have been screwed in that circumstance. Not sure why he backed. He gave up the first tier tower. He didn't need to back in that circumstance, and he kind of left his Vi and his team out to dry. But for the most part, it looks like Vi is able to sneak a dragon, although Kha'Zix has turned up over the wall and killed her. Okay, fine. The enemy team has clearly got very good vision control around objectives. It's something that the JC's team is struggling with right now. They don't really have the strong vision control in their enemy jungle. So, especially when you're doing Dragon and you don't really know where the enemy is and the mid lane tier 1 is up, you should always try and put a ward over the wall. So a little tip for anybody trying to do Dragons, make sure you put a little ward over the wall, especially when you're on this side of the map, because you want to ensure that you can see when someone's coming. So it's a pretty grim state right now, 0-4-4 for JC's team, or for JC, and his team is 11 to 12 kills. They do, however, somehow have 2 Dragons. Okay, so Vi, despite losing out of the Dragons, has smited away both the Dragons. This is a silver lining because Infernal and Cloud Dragons are the 2 most impactful Dragons in terms of win rates in the game. I would really love to see JC doing more roaming. So action happening bot, like jumping in and helping facilitate the Yasuo. Like when I have a carry who is doing well in my game, my Jhin clearly absolutely sucks. So my Jhin sucks in this circumstance, right? He's not having a good game. Not to say that the player is bad, it's just that this game he's not doing very well. If I were JC, I would be partnering up with my Yasuo, trying to facilitate my Yasuo in fights. Like Braum is so absolutely insane. Okay, yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Good disengage. Jump to him. Okay, yeah, blocking. Brilliant. Like, that was good enough. Katarina should... Oh my gosh, Katarina doesn't die here. That was good enough, though. Katarina almost died and they killed the Pantheon. Like, the shield should be reserved to when Katarina pops her ultimate. But with the Pantheon as well, like, just popping the shield early was fine in that scenario. Now, we've seen the Gargoyle enchant. I don't really like Gargoyle enchant on a support because Redemption is really, really impactful. But for Braum, Gargoyle enchant is a relatively good one because it gives you a load of extra HP, which is nice. And you don't exactly deal much damage. Thornmail in this circumstance, I don't like. I would have preferred to see just the Bramble Vest because the Grievous Wounds is the only thing that really mattered here. Then you should pick up some Magic Resist because you're clearly struggling to deal with the Katarina. So just going for a Spirit Visage into a Force of Nature would have been really strong. Now, the enemy team trolled in the area that they backed. We are already at the point that the Infernal is spawning. Sorry, the Elder is spawning in 30 seconds. This is something that I do see regularly in low elo games. The Infernal tends to be the 3rd dragon or even the 2nd dragon because people just don't focus these objectives. This is only the 3rd dragon in the game, and it's the Elder. So that's like a game-winning objective that obviously these teams need to fight around. Now, 2 wards at this point in the game, especially this late on, I would have swapped out for a sweeper. I like to keep warding trinkets more for longer than most regular Challenger and Grandmaster supports. However, at this stage in the game, denial of vision is that much more important. To be honest with you, for the most part, what I'm noticing is from this game, the Yasuo is carrying the crap out of it. Like, Yasuo is proper carrying. But what we're seeing here is a good response. Like, they're chasing the Vi around. You're going to get the inhibitor tower. That's never going to respawn. That is an objective that will remain there for the rest of the game. Vi dies. She could have ulted away. She could have jumped away towards her team. This is actually a bit bad because now she's dead for around 40 seconds and the Ocean Elder is up. However, Kha'Zix, for some reason, oh my god, Kha'Zix, if this was my Kha'Zix, it would tilt the living daylights out of me. Ah! It's like the most important jungle objective in the entire game, maybe next to Baron, and it's up, and you have a man advantage, and their jungler is dead for like 20 seconds. Why is he even here? You should be there. Go there. Go there, Kha'Zix. Go there. Oh my gosh. This tilts the crap out of me. Okay, well, honestly, right now... Okay, well, they got it. Fine. The team did it without the help of their jungler. However, JC, vision on this. Like, they're hovering around mid. They're clearly entering into this part. You've got a ward. Go and ward over the wall. You don't want to lose a Baron for free. Kha'Zix kind of trolls a little bit here. Doesn't know that there's any vision. This is why Sweeper is so important. Again, JC, swap out to Sweeper. Like, you need to swap out to Sweeper earlier in the game. Katarina, a little bit overextended in that circumstance. Does manage to get away. There's a teleport coming through. Looks like they're threatening the end, which is a little interesting. They're very disjointed. Pop the shield, pop the shield, pop the shield, put the shield up, put the shield up, put the shield up. A little late with the shield there, but good enough. 2 for 1 overall. 2 for 1 overall for JC. I still don't think I'd go for the end. At this point, I would be going for the Baron. Go for the Baron? Please go for the Baron. Oh, wait, the Vi's dead. Never mind. The end is too hard. Versus a Varus and a Pantheon, going for the end in this circumstance is too hard. Push bot lane, go for Baron. Or push bot lane and set up for Baron. You can't end easily versus with good wave clear, and there's too much good wave clear on the enemy team, so it's a good idea to just stay away from trying to end the game at this point. Something that I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed, for the majority of the game since the laning phase, JC has stayed in this lane only. There has been no roams, no vision, no roams, no vision. This is something that honestly needs to be improved on. You need to be looking to roam across the map consistently. You need to be looking to join any potential fights on the side lanes. You definitely should have been facilitating your Yasuo a little bit more here. For the most part, though, you have recovered well. One thing that I will say about what you've been doing in mid lane is that you've never allowed the enemy much opportunity to push in and take the inhibitor tower. So you have actually responded pretty well to just protecting the mid lane wave. The enemy, to be honest with you, has completely thrown this game down the drain so far, because they could have easily won this a long time ago by focusing out the big neutral objectives. But you know, a lot of teams, especially at this level of play, are super slow to kind of get around objectives, which are like the most important things in the game. Now, I don't know. I have like chase the Kazakhs. Like, he just appeared behind you. No idea what the Kazakhs was doing there. I would have immediately turned. Again, like, we're too focused on mid lane. What are you getting mid lane? There is nothing to get other than the game end at this point. Should have shielded the... Okay, so you could, if you don't know, you can shield the Nami wall and it stops in its tracks. So if you don't know, you can actually shield the Nami wall and it completely stops. So whenever a Nami casts a ult, it's very slow. You should be able to shield the Nami wall. Luckily, this Yasuo is kind of smurfing. So this Yasuo is kind of smurfing. Vi, take the tower. Vi, you can see all three of them here take the tower. So Sunfire Cape, again, I still think you need some magic resist. I think Abyssal Mask's okay. A little bit underrated on Braum for sure. Unfortunately, Vi, because she was a little bit indecisive, now dies. Now, if they're smart, if the enemy team is smart, they're going to make a beeline for Baron. If the enemy team has got a shred of game sense, they're just going to go straight for Baron here. Now, Jhin getting a little caught out by the Varus. Again, like, if I can teach you anything from this replay, is that I think the mid lane play was fine until you got the inhibitor. Now you've got nothing to gain mid. There is nothing for you to gain mid. I get that you want to babysit the Jhin, but there is nothing to gain mid. You should be getting vision in the enemy jungle, getting vision around neutral objectives, trying to push the side lanes in, helping split push. Like, there is nothing to gain in mid lane right now if you're the Braum's team. So sticking in mid lane for what feels like an eternity is not going to win you the game. And like, you should try, like, all the entire team should roam into the Baron pit now, because like you want to force the enemy in to try and fight you. Right now, there's like some sort of like bronze level dance in the mid lane. Shield it. Okay, yeah. Again, want to shield the Nami wave. You should be up in the front line right now, Braum. You're a tank. You're a tank. You don't protect. Like, okay, right. This game has been kind of in because you've been protecting the Jhin. The Jhin is not the important person here. The important person is the Yasuo. Luckily, he's kind of carrying by himself. But as a tank, there is no way that you want to be sat on your Jhin. Like, I get it. Maybe the Kha'Zix kills your Jhin. But if I was looking at the scoreboard, my Jhin is completely useless. And the most important person on my team is the Yasuo. So that's good. Really, really nice stuff. Eventually, the Yasuo carried, and they end up getting the win. Okay, so what can I say about this game? Laning phase. Jhin and Braum is a terrible combo. You shouldn't pick it. As a Braum, if you land your Q in lane and you have your shield up and available and the enemy oversteps, like that Varus did very early on, walk up to them and basic attack them. If you can get the stun off, you can usually win the trade 9 times out of 10. So that was something else that I erred. Too slow to rotate for objectives. You were too slow to rotate for Dragon. You should be looking to be active as a support in setting up for Dragon and helping your jungler, and then engage if the enemy comes near. Too slow to react to your jungler's plays, like that ult on Tavares very early on. If you jump to them and then just landed a stun or even got a double knockup, you might have won that trade much more easily. You spent way too long in this game in mid lane. In fact, from once the laning phase ended, your lane became mid lane and you never moved. I understand that I think some supports take the idea of supporting their AD carry too literally. You do not need to spend your entire game with the AD carry. If the AD carry is sensible, they will clear waves and keep safe by themselves. You can't be blamed. You are much better served helping your jungler, helping a strong member in your team like the Yasuo, rotating, getting vision in the enemy jungle, getting vision around objectives. Too long spent just randomly pushing mid lane this game. The only reason that you won this game was because Varus was unbelievably fed. and he was very good. Like not very good, but Varus is clearly better than the majority of the players in this game. So, like, as a support, you weren't doing much to help your team win. In fact, you were doing nothing to help your team win realistically. And I know this sounds harsh, but I'm trying to help you like think about your play and get better. So you need to be roaming and joining skirmishes and helping support. And also as a Braum, like you want to be in the front lines of a team fight. Your shield can help protect loads of people on your team. You want to be right at the front lines with that shield, protecting any incoming projectiles, using your ultimate to re-engage, getting your stuns on as many people as possible. Sitting there and protecting the Jhin is it honestly, because Jhin can ult like Jhin should be nowhere near the team fight ulting. If Jhin dies to a Kha'Zix, well, Kha'Zix isn't in the team fight and your team can clean up. So you should be right in the front lines with that shield protecting. But other than that, like, generally some mechanics felt fine. Like, you were pretty good at aiming your Qs. But clearly, I think if you're interested in support, there's quite a lot to work on. Switch out to Sweeper a little earlier in the game. I usually like to switch out maybe like 12 or 13 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes for Baron. But I like to keep my warding trinket for a little bit longer than most people do in the game. Item choices, never complete Thornmail as a support. If you want the Grievous Wounds, just go for Bramble Vest and Thornmail only if they're full AD. I would only ever complete Thornmail if they're full AD. My second item on Braum tends to be just some defense that's necessary. In that game, Magic Resist would have helped you massively. And you weren't even really using Sunfire Cape because you weren't getting in the middle of the team fight. So Sunfire Cape felt like a bit of a wasted item, realistically. I would have gone for Randuin's Omen, or I would have gone for some Magic Resist to protect against the Katarina. But other than that, like, lots of things to work on. And I think there's some stuff that's very easy to improve as well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of Wildrift Doctor. Thank you to Amadeus for forcing me to do it, and I will see you soon.